Sometimes, when you're trying to understand how a device works in present day technology, it's easier to look back on how it began in order to understand its true functionality, especially with information technology devices. You can have a device created to do a certain task, and by the next version of that device, there is a feature or a modification added that precedes the ability of the previous device. Cell phones are a good example of this. In 2007, the iPhone was born. It took the iPod and married it to the cell phone technology, and every year after that, a new improved version of the cell phone was created. With networking, we can say the same thing. Sure, it isn't as interesting as a shiny new selfie generated social media device, but it has equipment that has evolved throughout the years. That's why we need to look back at the beginning of how computers used to talk to each other. Let's go back to coaxial terminated cabling, where computers were networked on a single logical bus. In other words, you had computers daisy chained together, and if just one cable broke, the whole chain of computers were affected. The answer to that was the hub. Hubs were a great solution to every network at the time. An Ethernet hub is a simple device and is easy to configure. A hub acts like a repeater. All data that arrives to one port is sent to all other ports, or nodes. That means that all devices in this network will get all data. A hub is a very simple device and does not operate Ethernet traffic. We no longer had to link computers on a single line of cable either. With the hub, we could spread out multiple lines that lead back to a single access point. This is called the star topology. While the failure of an individual link only results in isolation of a single node, the failure of the central hub renders the network inoperable, immediately isolating all nodes. Even though we don't categorize hubs as switches, we need to understand that a hub was once king of the networking ecosystem. Though the needs of a larger network and issues came from what a hub could or could not do, it gave birth to better equipment such as routers and switches. With that said, we need to talk a little bit more about how a hub communicates and why it has limitations and abilities. It operates on a physical layer of the OSI model. They connect multiple devices together, but that's it. A physical layer device's only real job is to know its own MAC address and push the bits of data that flow through its ports. Since a hub sends all data to all machines, you can imagine how much data can be flowing through any given network, causing a lot of traffic. Thus, data collision became more prevalent. CSMA-CD detects collisions and dictates how long before the node can resend the data lost in a collision. And CSMA-CA is the crossing guard directing the flow of traffic, doing its best to avoid the collisions. These are both MAC address protocols developed to mitigate these collisions. Until Layer 2 switches replaced these hubs, all broadcasts were simultaneously sent to every node, congesting the entire network. This was a limitation that hubs represented to an ever-growing population of nodes on a network. Before I end this video, I want to talk about all types of internet traffic. There is a broadcast, a multicast, and a unicast. A broadcast is sending data to an entire domain of nodes from a single node. Then there is a multicast that sends data to only a group of nodes, generally from a server. And unicast sends data to just one other node or device on a network, such as a printer. Well, that ends this lesson on networking review about hubs, and I want to thank you for viewing. Stay tuned for the next review on network devices, where I will go over Layer 2 switches.